Hey, so welcome to the 76th episode of the Red Room. Luke is running a little bit behind, so we decided to get started because we put this post out there a bunch of different ways. We are live on Luke's Facebook page, my Facebook page. We had a little hiccup with Facebook. They are no longer letting us go live stream to the Phoenix RIA, so we are sharing this stream to the Phoenix RIA. We'll find out if that works. If not, I'll be sharing the YouTube channel page back into Facebook. That's what I had to do last week. And if you're watching on either the Viking Boys YouTube channel or the Just for Flips YouTube channel, please just like, subscribe, all the fun stuff, and you'll get more notifications on what we're talking about next. Little update on the market. Just some stats. We started the year at 15,100 actives. I've been doing this for over 20 years. We generally don't see an increase in inventory. We are creeping up around 17,500 actives. This is going to probably be our slowest year in real estate in Arizona for a long time if we keep at this pace. And Luke's jumping on. But give you a little update. So yeah, summer's always a little slower for us Arizonans, and then obviously with an election fall, it should be a little slower as well. So there's just a little market update, and then we're going to jump in with JP and talk about investing with the IRA fund.
Heck yeah.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Luke. How are ya?
Good. Sorry, it's a crazy day today, but no complaints.
It happens. Well, I'm so excited to be back here with you guys. I will say that I don't know who would be more excited about that game the other day than you, my friend. So I think I saw JP in the front row of the freaking Suns game on Sunday night on television, holding up some kind of a flag. And I know that it was a fun game to watch. I'm still going to say go Suns, but I'm happy that your team got to walk away with the victory for you, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate it. It's been 21 years since I've gotten to see my team win a playoff series, so I'll take it.
Well deserved, because it's been a long time in the making, right? Well, I'm excited to be back with you guys on REA Ground School and hang out. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the world of self-directed IRAs, and let me tell you, we have a rock star in the house. JP has helped over 17,000 people unlock the power of investing their retirement savings beyond the stock market. It's a whole lot of people that are totally taking control of their financial future. So put your investing hats on, guys, and let's welcome JP Dahdah, the founder and CEO of Vantage Self-Directed Retirement Plans today. They've got $3 billion in assets under administration, guys. So he is a wealth of knowledge and a great resource, and here to chat with us today about how you can leverage this tool for your retirement.
Thank you, Dena.
So quick question. What was the brainchild that said, "Hey, I'm going to start this up"? Like, where? I mean, you're $3 billion. Where do we start from? Like, where do we get?
We started with zero. I mean, so the genesis story, I'll make it quick. I mean, I was prior to starting Vantage, I was a registered investment advisor, and I had been trained by a Fortune 100 company, and ultimately been an entrepreneur since I was 23, helping people with their money. Right? I am someone that's been very passionate about trying to help people in this retirement game, or in this money game that we all play. And in my job, which was giving people advice, right, as a fiduciary advisor, one of my higher net worth clients reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'd like to invest in a real estate development deal that a buddy of mine is putting together. I want to invest $250,000 into this limited partnership, but he tells me that he won't give me my money back for at least 5 to 7 years when he's done, developing and selling. As an investor, I'm not going to get my money back." So he posed to me. He said, "JP, I'd like to use my IRA money, since I can't touch it, He was 52 years old at the time. So he said, I just figured, I got money in my IRA with you. Why don't I use my IRA money to do it? And so I gave him the answer that I was trained to tell him, and I very confidently thought was the right answer, which was, unfortunately, Mr. Client, you can't do that, right? Your IRA cannot be used to invest outside the stock market. And in fact, if you want to use that money, we'll have to take a distribution out of your account, which will be an ordinary income tax hit, plus a 10% penalty because you're not 59 and a half. So as your advisor, I'm not going to advise you to do that. Let's think of a different way to fund this deal. Well, he didn't like the answer that I gave him, and he was like, "I can't believe this can't be done. Oh my God, there's got to be a way of doing this. Keep looking." Now again, he's 52, I'm 27. He's basically challenging me to find a solution for him where he doesn't have to pay taxes. Well, it took me 3 months, Chris, but I ended up calling the people he wanted me to call, trying to find out. I got the same answers I was giving him, I was getting from these other resources, right? So, again, it kept leading me to believe I'm telling him the truth. I'm telling him, and he's just not listening to my advice. But there was a serendipitous lunch that I had with an attorney back in 2003, where I sat with him and I told him this story, and this client won't listen to me, and he's trying to do this, and this. And this attorney says, "You know what? I think there's a company that a friend of mine who's an attorney has done something like this. Like, let me call him and see what he says." So that's my Genesis story. He called that we got done with lunch. We went back to his office. He called his friend. His friend tells him, "Here's the company, here's the URL." And it was, I go back to my office as an advisor, and on that homepage of that company, it says buy real estate with your IRA. So that was how I got started. I was completely dumbfounded. I had never heard the fact that you could do this. In fact, I was very confidently telling clients you couldn't do this and that you would have to pay taxes, because that's how I was trained. And listen, I was a financial advisor with all the licenses, fiduciary, trying to do what's in the best interest of my clients. So I was shocked and frustrated and completely disenfranchised with, from one perspective, with the fact that I didn't know about this. I'm very happy that I had found a solution for my client. He was ecstatic, of course. He thought it was the best thing ever. But that was the beginning, I guess, Chris, to make a long story a little shorter, is that it was because I solved that client's issue that I dove into learning about the rules. Like, what are the actual rules? Like, I was trained and led to believe this, along with all the other millions of Americans that have retirement accounts. And yet I'm in a position where I'm misinforming people now, and I don't want to do that anymore. So once I learned how it worked, and the company that I set up an account for my client and helped him with, I got the opportunity to start. I said, you know what? I can't be in this business anymore. I need to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So I pivoted my business. I sold my book of clients, got out of financial advising, started Vantage, and that was 20 years ago. And so I've been in the process for 20 years of doing exactly what we're doing today, which is creating awareness, educating the public, educating, of course, real estate investors, people that have an appetite to build wealth in ways outside the stock market, in the private market. And my punchline here is, what I learned ultimately is there's a big difference between what the government allows us to do with these things they call retirement accounts than what companies that are in the business of offering these retirement plans are telling their clients they're able to do with the money. So the Schwabs, the Fidelities, the Vanguards, all those traditional financial service companies are in the business of offering these accounts, but they're also in the business of selling products, and they're also in the business of selling advice for those products. So the minute you understand that, you kind of see how broken the financial service system is when it comes to retirement industries. And you say, wait a second, you mean I've been able to do this the whole time? And the answer to that is yes. Ever since IRAs and retirement accounts were created by the government, which is in the mid-70s, we as Americans have been able to contribute to these accounts, get a tax benefit, be in control of that money, direct it how we see fit to build wealth on a tax favored basis. And what we're really needing are companies, of course, like Vantage, companies that specialize in alternative custody and administration, right? Because if you called Schwab right now and said, hey, I want to do a wrap, I want to do some creative financing or do some subject to wrap, blah, blah, blah. They're going to say, well, we don't do that. Like, they'll actually say, you can't do that, right? And they're going to lead you to believe that it's not legal, that it's, you're going to pay penalties. And just like I literally thought I was telling people the truth, right? But I was misinforming. So this is where the system's broken, in that the people listening to today's presentation or today's conversation, hopefully, maybe some of them have heard of self-directed IRAs, right? But this term, self-directed IRA, is a marketing term. It's a term that we've given these accounts so that people know who's in control of the decisions, right? And to try to differentiate the accounts that I offer Advantage versus what Schwab offers, right? It has to be a different name. Some people call it real estate IRAs. Some people call it gold IRAs, Bitcoin IRA. These are not different types of accounts. This is just a marketing so that people understand you can buy these assets with this account. And so that's what a self-directed IRA ultimately is any IRA account, any retirement account, whether it's a 401k, IRA, defined benefit plan, profit sharing plan, all of those accounts, they're different types, but they all can be used to invest outside the stock market, right? The key is to have a company who's offering that account that actually allows you to transact that business and is in the business of transacting that business for you for a small fee.
So JP, can you elaborate on like the specific benefits of using a self-directed IRA for real estate investors that are watching that have maybe never heard about this before?
Sure. So, I mean, I would say that the number one benefit that people receive is that they like to be in control of their money, and they're able to invest their money that they've saved in the asset strategies that they understand and that they know and that they believe in, right? So Chris just mentioned that, hey, I might do a fix and flip, or I might do a subject to deal, or I might do, well, he's doing that because he believes it's going to make him money, right? And he knows how to deploy that strategy in a way that has a higher probability to making him money than maybe putting money in a mutual fund, right? Than putting maybe money into a stock. So it's all about choices and control. The benefit that people get is I want to be in control of my money. And if I can put it into a real estate deal and feel better about its opportunity to build wealth than I can some other choice, then that's the number one benefit is that most people receive. Of course, you get increased diversification. Like if you want to have some money in the stock market and you want to have some money in real estate or some other private market deal, you want to invest in a private company, or you want to do a private loan. Maybe you want to lend money to Chris. Maybe Chris is out there needing, $50,000 for his next fix and flip. Well, JP's IRA, self-directed IRA, I can be your lender, right? I can do that on an unsecured basis. I can create my terms. I say, Chris, no problem. I'll give you 50 grand with my IRA, and I'll need 14% interest on that. And I need you to pay me back in 6 months, right? I mean, I can create the terms of the promissory note that I'm lending out. So again, it goes back to control, and it goes back to basically feeling confident about where your money's being invested. I mean, most Americans don't even know where their money's invested. I ask them all the time. I say, where's your money? In an IRA. Well, where in an IRA? I think mutual funds. Okay, well, what mutual fund? I don't know. What's the name of the company where you have your money? I don't know. What are the top 50 holdings in that mutual fund? I don't know. Okay, so you've just been told, put the money there, try not to look at your statements for 20 years and hope that by the end you're going to have enough money to retire. That is how Americans have been brainwashed, unfortunately. And I was part of that problem. I was part of perpetuating that message. And now I want to do, obviously, help people understand that this tool is a lot more flexible than that. And if it resonates with you that, hey, I want to put all or a portion of this money that I have in these retirement accounts in something outside the stock market, well, the only way you do that is by opening up a self-directed IRA with a company that does it. And of course, selecting your own investments right? Because companies like us, we don't offer products. You know, if Chris opened up a self-directed IRA account with me, or Luke did today, I'm not going to try to pitch him his next deal. I'm not going to say, hey, put it into this real estate deal or that real estate deal or this strategy. We're not advisors. We don't sell products. You know, so that's the other thing that people need to understand. This is someone where you're in control, you're self-directed, you're identifying the investments that you're putting your money into, and you're directing the custodian, which is us, Vantage. You're directing the custodian as to what you want to buy, and we facilitate the transactions, right? So, you know, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it.
So JP, real quick, if there was I mean, is there a specific amount or like a minimum or a maximum that you have to put in every year?
No, we're not obligated to put any kind of money into these accounts. Now, there is a annual contribution limit that you have by the type of account that you have, right? So it's not you're forced, like you have to, you're required. If you decide to contribute every year, there is a limit based on
To
the
the
type of
tax
account,
benefits.
right? To the deduction that you can put in. So for example, a traditional IRA,
Right.
you can only put $7,000 a year into it. Roth IRA, you can only put $7,000 a year into it. If you're self-employed, you have options and you're eligible to set up different types of IRA accounts, like a SEP IRA or a simple IRA. And those have higher contribution limits. But you're not required or forced to it. It's just what you're capped. You know, the government's basically saying to us, hey, we're going to allow you to take an income deduction by the amount that you contribute into your retirement account, but we are going to put a cap on how much we're willing for you to deduct every year, right? Based on the type of account that you have. Now, once the money's in the account, there is no limit as to how much money you can make on it, right? So going back to Dena's question, what do I believe is going to make me money, right? This is for you're building money. You're trying to make investments to build wealth for your retirement future, right? So most people make decisions on what they're investing in based on what they think will get them the returns that they need based on their financial plan or the retirement goals or the whatever, right? But take into account that most Americans are making decisions on where they're investing their money based on this perpetuated misinformation that you can select an investment, but only from the stock market options that we give you, right? When in fact, you have all these other options of available choices that you're not being told. It actually led to believe that it's illegal, you're going to get penalized, and you can't do it, right? And we won't do it for you. So that's really my main message always is almost re-educating the audience that's listening to say, guys, ladies, gentlemen, like if you have money inside of a retirement account right now, if you've put money in there, doesn't matter who it's with Schwab, it doesn't matter the company you're using, 99% of the time, if not more, you're working with a Wall Street-based company that's told you that your investment choices are limited to the stock market. My main goal today is for your audience to understand that is not the truth, right? That it hasn't been the truth since 1974. That if you've got money in a retirement account today and you'd like to use all or some of that money to invest in things like real estate strategies, right? It doesn't matter what real estate strategies, fix and flips. You want to buy mobile home parks. You want to go out and do storage facility. It doesn't matter. You can invest. You can fund those deals with your retirement tax favored retirement dollars. But in order to, how it works, how do we do it? You have to set up what is known as a self-directed IRA with a company like Vantage. And so we've been in this, obviously in Arizona for going on 20 years now. So, part of the other challenges that people have, and one of the things you guys are solving for today is, well, who does it? Like, okay, well, now that I know that they exist, well, how do I get started? And, who can help me? There's only 40 companies or so in our entire industry. So part of the other reason is there's hundreds, if not thousands of companies that offer IRA accounts and 401ks and profit sharing plans in the United States, but all of them are in the stock market business. So there's only 40 that are specialist custodians of alternative assets to that stock market, of which Vantage is one of them.
So do you also take, like, a big thing in this industry is, like, you have a corporate guy, he was a corporate guy for 20 years, and then he decides, okay, I'm going to retire, but I'm not really going to retire. I'm going to go do some fix and flips. I'm going to go do some of that. Do you do some of that, corporate rollover into the self-directeds, or?
Absolutely. So there's 3 ways that you can fund an account, right? If you set up let's just use IRAs. If I set up a self-directed Roth IRA, right? Because I had one at Schwab. I just heard about this. Oh my God, I want to put some of that Roth money to work in real estate and not pay taxes on it ever again. Great. You set up a Roth IRA. Well, how do you fund it? Well, if it's IRA to IRA, it's called a transfer. So we send a transfer request to Schwab, send us, X amount of dollars from that Roth over to the Roth over here. So you're just changing companies, right? But while you're changing companies, you're changing choices as well. The other one is, like you mentioned, Chris, a rollover, right? You have an old 401k. I have an old 401k where I was stuck with like a list of 10 mutual funds, and I got terminated or I retired or whatever. I'm out. It's an old 401k. Well, you can roll that money into your self-directed IRA without paying taxes, of course, and that's just another way to fund it. And then the last one is contributions, just like Luke was alluding to. It's like, hey, well, I have till my tax filing deadline plus extensions to make contributions into my account, right? And the answer to that is yes. So you can just take from your earned income, you're putting dollars into the account as a contribution. And that's the same way it works, whether you're working with Schwab or you're working with Vantage. So the IRAs and the services that we provide and the way the rules work are exactly the same as it relates to the governmental rules and regulations, right? So the same ways you can fund your Schwab account, the same ways you can fund your Vantage account. So hopefully that helped you understand. And then now when it comes to making investments, right? Well, now that you've learned that you can invest in a lot of different things outside the stock market, what I always like to educate people is okay, well, there's 3 different ways you can make investments with your self-directed account. You can buy a property with cash. If you got enough cash in your account and you want to buy a rental property, then just pay cash for it out of your IRA, right? So we're going to fund that transaction, and it's 100% owned by your IRA, and it's all cash. The second and most common way is people co-invest, right? They do it through entities. So maybe Chris, Luke, Dena, and JP want to pull some money together. Maybe Chris is not using his IRA funds. He's using his personal money. Luke is using his Roth IRA. Dena is using her, profit sharing plan, and I'm using my traditional self-directed IRA. Well, we set up an LLC, right? And the IRAs can invest into that entity as a private member, right? We're buying membership units from the LLC. And so people co-invest all the time using this, right? They don't want to use all their retirement money to buy one deal. They maybe want to put it into an investment holding company with other investors so they can buy more deals or they can buy bigger deals, right? Or they're just trying to deploy a specific strategy with a group of people. So limited partnerships, LLCs, private stock, private companies, private entities, your IRA can invest in those to do co-investing. Of course, your IRA can also co-invest directly on the property, right? Just like you could outside of your IRA. And then the last one, and this is the one that surprises people the most, is with a mortgage, right? I mean, I can actually, my IRA can actually put a down payment on a piece of rental property. Let's say it's a $100,000 property. I'm putting $50,000 down with my IRA, and I'm getting a mortgage. That is totally doable. An IRA will be the borrower, and there are private lenders, there's banks, and there are lenders that are lending money to the IRA itself. Now, in that case, the borrower is the IRA. It is not the owner of the IRA, right? So it's not Chris's credit that's being used for that mortgage because Chris isn't buying the property. It's with a mortgage. It's Chris's IRA buying the property. So, these are non-recourse loans where it's asset-based lending, where a lot of private lenders, for example, like if Chris wanted to buy the $100,000 property, he's putting $50,000 down with his IRA, JP's IRA can be the lender on that property. So I mean, there's just a lot of different creative ways that you can structure deals. And I think for us, it's just letting people know how simple this actually is. I say, look, the same 3 ways you can buy deals outside of a retirement account, you can buy it inside of a retirement account. You can pay cash, you can partner with other people, and you can do it with a mortgage. Like, it's that simple. There's not a lot of complexity here, but of course there are some rules here and there that you need to keep in mind and consider. And we educate on that all the time, and we let our clients know what those rules are, so that they're like, okay, I get it now. I know how to at least report it, or I know how to work around it, or whatever it is. So those are the things that really truly matter.
So guys, for you guys who are watching, I didn't have a retirement account till 2 years ago. I didn't have no retirement. All my money was always in real estate doing stuff, right? But I've been in real estate for a long time, so I like my ability in real estate to make money versus some guy putting it into stocks. So I was able to put in like 500 grand in a self-directed IRA. I did a subject to deal where I put like $30,000 in, and the mortgage was 3%, sold on a wrap at 8%. So that 30 grand is making me like $1,000 a month. I'll let you do the calculation on what that looked like. I'm also
it's good.
And you're not paying taxes on it. Let's not forget the fact that $1,000 is coming in on a tax favored basis, right?
Yeah. My IRA is currently doing a flip. I also have 2 other flips going. I might have ordered the tile on my company's flip and sent the one that was the company's flip, and the IRA flip got some free tile. Might have happened. Don't know. And so now
that better not have, Chris.
So now the IRA flip will have less expenses and make more money because it's tax free. But those are just, some of the, and then obviously I'm a hard money lender. My dad has a self-directed IRA. He's one of my bigger, but like my dad's $3 million self-directed IRA goes into our hard money loans. We create the hard money loan. We give it to him. We pay his IRA. He's building his IRA tax-free from the hard money loan. So just some examples of how I use this in my business and my current stuff.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to say, JP, what would be your best advice to someone? So a lot of people that we do deals with, they'll do gap funding for us, right? So, it might be whatever it is, right? Whether it's 30 grand, 50 grand, 70 grand, and they might put it down on, one property, but they might have 3 properties out with us. What would you recommend to them? Like, what would you say for them would be the huge benefit so they know of creating an IRA, putting that into and using it out of there, opposed to just giving us cash every time and just doing it that way?
Well, there's a couple things, and I think Chris alluded to this. So I'm glad, Chris, that you shared your example, because most real estate investors that I know don't have big balances in their retirement accounts, right? Why? Because they've been investing in real estate, and they've been told that they put money in this account, you're not going to be able to do the deals that you want to do, right? So Chris all of a sudden heard 2 years ago, hey, you can marry both things, right? You can save money in taxes. You can, create a defined benefit plan or whatever, put a bunch of money in there, get a tax deduction, and now you can go do those same deals, right? So that's the first thing I want to make sure I let people know, that if they're hearing this and they've been real estate investors and you're like, I don't have a lot of money in my IRA or any retirement account, it's okay, right? This is part of the problem, but now that you know that they exist and that you can marry both your passion for real estate investing and get some tax benefits along the way, then maybe this is something you should consider. So that's one thing. But my best advice is there's just 2 audiences that I typically speak to that are on this call right now. There are people who are listening to this and saying, wow, I have money in a retirement account, and now I'm listening that there are these accounts that I can utilize this money that I have saved to do these types of real estate transactions. And one of those real estate transactions or investment deals that I could do is lending money in gap financing for Luke. Okay. Wow. Okay. So how would that work? What's the most efficient way for me to structure my IRA account so that I minimize the administration fees that I'm paying Vantage, and that I have full control of this money, so that Luke needs $30,000 tomorrow, I'm cutting him a check, I'm funding that deal, but I'm funding that deal with my retirement account money. so that when Luke pays me back an interest rate plus my principal, I don't have to pay capital gains taxes. I don't have to pay short-term capital gain taxes. So that's one audience, is like, right, like someone who's got money in an account and is looking for creative ways or looking for new alternative ways to invest that money and make money, did not have to pay taxes. And there's a structure, a specific structure, which involves an LLC, right, where your IRA is going to own 100% of a brand. You're going to set up a brand new entity. Your IRA is going to invest 100% to buy all the units out of that entity. You're going to be the manager. Vantage is custodying one asset, right? One LLC asset. But that LLC now goes and opens up a business checking account, and now that's your retirement plan money, and you're cutting deals to do gap financing or invest in whatever you want with that investment holding company. That's the most less expensive, easiest way to administer, most asset protection way that you're going to be able to do this, but it's not required to do that way, right? I'm just giving you a structure. The other audience that I told you about is the people that don't have money in a retirement account, but they look for capital, right? They're out there. They need that gap financing. Hey, I'm a fix and flipper. I need someone to lend me that 50 grand or that 30 grand. So I want their other ear listening to this is saying, okay, look, this is important information for me, because next time I go out there looking for a lender, I'm asking them, do you have retirement plan dollars? Do you have money sitting around in your retirement account? Well, you do, great. Did you know that there's self-directed IRAs? Why don't you set up an account self-directed, and why don't you lend me that money out of your self-directed IRA account? So anybody who's looking for capital, looking for other people's money, this is a topic that is also relevant to them, because 70% of Americans have a retirement account. Most of people's investable dollars in America are inside of these tax favored vehicles. Why? Because every single one of us, I shouldn't say every single one of us, but most Americans that need help, right, that go to a financial advisor, go to a CPA and say, help me with my retirement planning or help me with my financial planning. First thing they're going to say is, look, if you're saving money for your future, save money into a retirement account, right? So every single person, after they have their cash reserve ready and they've maybe done some of their short-term savings for their house or their car or their vacation, they're being told, save money in your 401k or save money into an IRA. And so they all have this money that they don't think they can use, and they've been told for 40 plus years, 47 plus years, that they can't use for these sort of things. So we need people informing. We need people asking, hey, Chris, I know you usually lend me money for this deal. Like, do you have an IRA? Do you have a self-directed? Like, did you know you could lend me? Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Oh, I got $500,000 sitting there, and his dad had $3 million. I mean, think about how much Chris's business changed by finding out this information and knowing that his dad had $3 million sitting in an IRA that he never had access to before, but now is primary lender for the deals he's doing on his real estate transactions. I mean, so those are the two audiences, right? This is why this information is relevant to this audience today. Is don't just think about, oh my God, they're talking about retirement plans. I don't have any money there. Like, who cares? No, you should care, because there's $35 trillion in these accounts nationwide. Today, if you accumulate all the 401k, profit sharing, IRA, all that money, 35 trillion. Vantage only has 3 billion of it, but 35 trillion of it, okay, is the current calculation for retirement account money in America. Less than 2% of that money is invested outside the stock market, okay, which leads you obviously to understand that not enough people know about this, and more importantly, that the Wall Street firms have done a tremendously good job of making us believe that their products are the only options that we have, and that we're going to be somehow penalized if we decide to do something outside of their products. So once you understand that, and if you're out there raising capital, you're looking to put money together for real estate deals, you need to understand that there's an untapped funding source there. They're called retirement accounts. And the gateway to open up that floodgate is through companies like Vantage that can open up self-directed accounts for people that they can then transfer from Wall Street and put money to work. So hopefully I've made that message perfectly clear. Is that
And
we are.
yeah, we've been doing this with JP for over a decade, guys, and it's he's a great resource. He's also really good at like diving into your particular situation. So, if you guys want, how do people reach out to you after the fact? If you've said something that's like made them say, "Hey, look at my situation. How do I get into this game?" I mean, we've been talking trillions and billions. I'm sure there's definitely some people that want to connect with you.
Sure. I mean, the best way to connect with us is to our website, vantageiras.com, vantageiras.com. And I don't know if you guys can put that on some chat or whatever, but look, I mean, that's the website to our, we have workshops. We have, of course, you can start a conversation with one of our client service associates. You can obviously talk to folks like Shay, who specializes in dealing with the real estate channel and people that want to do stuff with real estate offices, brokerages, um, title companies. Of course, we're in this ecosystem, right? I mean, that's the reality, Dena, is like over a decade ago, Fidelity was smart enough to understand, like, look, we're trying to get, you're trying to position your brand in front of real estate investors and real estate agencies, right? Real estate brokerages and real estate agents. Well, real estate people need to know about this, right? And when they're
Yep.
doing a transaction, like Chris just mentioned, I'm doing this, subject to blah blah blah. Well, there's a title company involved, I believe, in that type of transaction, right? And so if he's doing those things with a self-directed IRA, well, the title company better understand how that works, right? And for the first, I would say decade of my career with Vantage of owning this, there was just a lot of educating that I had to do to attorneys, to financial advisors, to CPAs, to title companies, to mortgage companies, to everybody needed education, right? Because
Yep.
none of us believed this was even doable, much less knew how to do it, right? So you got an escrow officer doing a deal where there's a wrap or some sort of creative financing, and all of a sudden, well, who's the owner? Vantage, FBO, Chris Amon's IRA. Well, what the hell is that? And what that's an IRA. Like, we can't do this. We've never seen this before. Like, what's going on? Like, let me talk to my compliance officer. I mean, it's just like, these are the things that we've been creating this market for 20 years. I mean, it's crazy that it's such a big category, but at the same time, I'm still sharing awareness, and even though, like, we've been pretty successful at it, we've like you mentioned, we've helped over probably 20,000 people over the course of my career. The sad reality is that that's just like this many people compared to how many. Think about just Arizona in general, Phoenix for this matter. I mean, you've got 4,500 people, Chris, in the Phoenix RIAs, what you just mentioned not too long ago, right? That's your membership group. Well, how many of those people have a self-directed account, or have even heard about a self-directed account?
Right? Yeah, probably not a lot.
Not a lot. And so that's why I'm so grateful that you have me on today, because those are exactly the communities that this information lands squarely on and says, wow, there's value here. This is value creation that you're providing right now. Is holy shit, this is actually information that I can use to make money, to help me, right?
Well,
it's important too when you're closing that, like for us on the title side, that you're closing with like a legitimate custodian of your money, right? So we're the ones that do all the research on like the legitimacy and the ownership of the self-directed IRA account holder. And we want to make sure that you guys are dealing with legitimate people that have all their ducks in a row, so that when the funds need to get dispersed, that's happening in like a secure fashion, right? And you want to work with companies that are also doing things compliantly. So I'm super happy to have you on here so that the folks in the RIA can get to know you better.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously this is what we're here for, and we want to definitely be way more actively involved with the Phoenix RIA. We've been very actively involved with ASRIA for 19 plus years, but again, that's neither here nor there. What I really loved, and I guess I have a question for you, Chris, because you're like my poster child. Now that I heard your story, it's just like a perfect person to ask, right? Like you did not have, you never put money in a retirement account because you're always involved in real estate. That's what I heard you just say.
Yeah.
And then you set up an account, and now you're very actively investing within your retirement plan, making deals happen, right? $30,000 and getting $1,000 return every month. It sounds pretty amazing. So it's more your testimony, I guess, to some degree. It's like, wait, when I used to hear the word retirement account, it was like, whatever, I don't like that stock market crap. But now you're an avid user of it. You're in control of it. You're putting the money where you want. You're making, it sounds like, wonderful returns, right? Well, like the reason you wanted to do this in the first place in the retirement accounts that build well for your future. So congrats, right? You're doing this and you're not paying taxes on that yet, right?
Right.
You're saving money on the contributions that you made, and you're growing this money on a tax-free basis or tax deferred basis. So maybe you can just again share just your mindset shift, right? Because one of the things that we always say is money's personal, right? And you personally chose not to put money in a retirement account for your rightful reasons, before 2 years ago. So now that you're doing this, maybe you can give us some of the benefits or maybe some of the pitfalls. I mean, what's been some of the frustrations you've encountered maybe doing this, if any? Have you come across any pitfalls that we can maybe allude to or talk to here?
No, I mean, I like it just because I know my business, just like Luke knows his business. I know what kind of returns I can get on a fix and flip. Obviously, the sub-2 returns are crazy. Like you said, I'm not going to just go put my money in a mutual fund, even if I want to take the easiest way out. And I just want to go be a lender on a deal, and I'm going to get 12% on, and I'm going to get monthly checks at 12%. Because we manage about $60 million in hard money. So I can anytime go like, I'm just going to put my money out at 12% and collect 12%. So that's like 12% is my minimum. Like I don't want anything less than minimum. And you go look at a bunch of mutual funds and, they have their ups, they have their downs, but at least that I know I'm going to get my 12% minimum. And then if I go into partnering on a deal with somebody, I know it's going to probably jump to like a 20%, or if I'm going to go do the fix and flip myself, I'm probably going to get even a higher return, just depending on how much more actively involved I want to be in the investment. But I understand the business better, and I just understand giving somebody my money.
Well, when I was an advisor, I used to, my financial plans were like, I hope to, like, hey, let's project 8% on a good day, right? Let's project 10%. I mean, 10%, I don't think my compliance officer would have let me put more than 8% on a forecast of, how your money is supposed to grow, right? So when you say 12, like my minimum is 12, the only reason you could say that is because you know how to do investments where that can be your floor and you can be happy, right? Like that's the bottom of the returns that you're hoping to receive. And for most Americans, that would be like too good to be true. They'd be like, wait a second, like, where's the scam? What, like, what's going on here? Like, what do you mean 12%? I'd love to make 12%, right? If you're a baby boomer today, think about this. If you say you're 65, 70 years old, and it's your dad, you've got $3 million sitting in your IRA account. You're sitting with your financial advisor. They're going to say, okay, Mr. Amen, we got to put 70% of your IRA in a fixed income allocation, which is these bond mutual funds over here. And these bond mutual funds are going to yield you about, on a good day, 2%, 3. And that's what you're going to be distributing out of your retirement account and living off comfortably, right? So think about, that's the storyline, right? To your dad. So now I could be your dad, and I can hear you say to me, hey, How about you put that 70% of $3 million in this private lending fund that is going to get you 12% returns for safe, secured, first lien position, money. Well, I get maybe 2 to 3% on a good day over here with the bond mutual fund, or I get 12%. Right?
It's a
And
no-brainer.
what kind of lifestyle am I going to have in retirement if I'm a baby boomer, right? So this is the conversation, right? This is literally the conversation I'm trying to have, because I come at it from the history of being an advisor, knowing how Americans are being spoken to about their money. You know that the stock market is volatile. So to Dena's question before, like, why do this? What are the benefits? Well, you're diversifying into non-correlated assets that are privately and illiquid, in many cases illiquid, but in many cases not volatile, right? So the volatility is what's killing a lot of American portfolios and nest eggs right now. Is I thought I was going to make 8% when my financial advisor forecasted my money, my retirement plan, but guess what? I lost 5% last year, or I lost 10% this year. And now I'm all concerned because I don't even know if I'm going to retire anymore, right? Because I had a one bad year that depleted 20% of my value. Well, for those people, this is a huge solution. This is like, wait a second. Okay. Like, I don't have to have all my money there. I could have some of it if I want, but if I hate the stock market and I don't like anything about what I just heard, and I can go over here, many people like you're like, you're in control, right? You already have the strategies you're deploying. This is what you do day in and day out. But some people like Jane Smith, they're not Chris and they're not Luke, right? They're like, okay, JP, I want a self-directed account. I'm moving all my money and I want to invest in private loans, but I've never done a private loan. How do I find the borrowers? How do I know how to underwrite this private loan? I don't know how to do any of this. And Vantage isn't helping them do that either. So that's where I'm hoping some of your audience also understands, like you, that says, wait a second, wow, if I'm raising a private credit fund or I'm raising a private lending fund and I got 60 million in private loans right now, but I want to have 250 million in 3 years. Well, my friend, come talk to us and we'll get you some Vantage self-directed IRA account holders that need people like you underwriting deals and telling them where, how they can get their 12%. So that's one element. And then again, I know I'm trying to fit a lot into an hour here, but for Luke, he also mentioned structuring. For people who are looking for gap financing, right? There's a lot of different ways you can skin that cat, as you know, right? I mean, I could come to you, Luke, and I could say, look, you want 30,000, I'll charge you, a hurdle rate of 4%, right? For whatever, 180 days, right? And then, but I want to participate in your upside on your flip.
Yeah.
So we can do a equity deal, right? I can do a partial loan that I participate at 10% of the up. So we can do all that sort of stuff with IRA money as well. So again, it's however you're structuring your deals, as the receiver of the loan, you got to be willing to do whatever the lender is telling you they want to do for the money, right? But
Right.
from a self-directed IRA investor perspective, the reason my clients love lending on gap financing or short-term deals is because they can turn that money. They're making 12% returns every 90 days, every 180 days, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was gonna say. That is our average gap funder. We've done the math before, because what we'll do is exactly that. They're gap funds, so they are second position. But what they'll do is, say it's 30, 50, 70 grand, and like I was saying, we've annualized it because a lot of times we'll buy, what's called a wholesale, where it's needs next to nothing into it. You relist it on the market and you sell it. And what we do is we'll do 1% on the purchase price along with 12%. And so, we've had people make 30% annualized yearly with us, which is insane. You make 30% annualized on 50 grand. That's pretty impressive,
It's amazing. And I'll tell you what else they love about it, or you should love about it, is if you're the one needing that money, that capital, right? This is the stickiest lender you're ever going to find, right? Because if I send you that money, 50 grand, and you make me that return that you just talked to me about, and I'm 48 years old like I am, I can't take that money and go to Vegas and have fun with it, right? Like I have to redeploy it. You made me all that profit, but it's in my IRA account. So like I'm just gonna I want to give it right back to you, right? Like it's like what deal are we gonna do? Like
that's what I was gonna say. The amount of gap funders that started with us at 30 to 50 grand and are now giving us 250 grand it's kind of insane. And people wonder with us, people wonder with us, like, why do you need that much? I don't understand. That's what's been able to help us scale from doing, say 1 or 2 flips at a time to doing 25 flips at a time. And so, because the thing is if we're coming up with that money every single time on 25 flips, that's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
And for most people that are giving you their personal, most of those people who are giving you their personal cash, the challenge you have is they may have another use case for that money once you make them the money. Oh, now I got to pay for my daughter's college. Oh, now I got a business to run and I'm short on cash flow. So thanks for making me the money, but I'm out, right? Or and now I got to pay capital gains taxes on the money that you made me. So again, there's all these negatives sometimes that come into play. With this money, it's like it's already illiquid in an illiquid account, so they can't touch it. They don't pay taxes on it, which means that you can get 5 good self-directed IRA investors and never have to look for money again if you're churning it, right? If you get the right people. I mean, you get Chris's dad to lend you some money, man. It's like you've got nothing but time. You've got nothing but scale, right? And that's what I try to help people understand is having knowledge of this lets you go to market and ask with more intention of what kind of dollar you're looking for. Having self-directed IRA in your toolkit, as someone in your position, both Chris and Luke, and any of the people in the Phoenix Re or anybody listening, that is what I'm trying to share with you, just on being intentional. Now with this knowledge, it's one thing to not know what you don't know, but now that you know that this exists, how are you going to change your script? How are you going to change how you go out and look for money? I used to joke to people, say, you should put a tattoo over here with the question of the year, which is, do you have a retirement account? Do you have money in an IRA? Because if the answer to that is yes, you're in business. You've got to learn the way to say, great, let's tap into this. Here's how this works. Here's the company you can set up your account with. I've worked with many of your investors before. How would you like to get 30% returns every whatever? Like, it's like, make it work for you. When you say that to somebody, but in their mind they're like, wait a second, I can't give him $100,000 right now because he's going to need my money, and if I need my money back, he can't give it back to me. So like, that's a lot. I have a liquidity question that I have to answer to. It's like, do I need this money for something else within the time frame that they're going to use it? And do I want to pay the taxes on the money if they make me the money, right? And what's my next investment once I hopefully get my money back? With the IRA, all of those objections disappear.
So one of the biggest things that I've used over my entire, like, obviously I didn't get to 60 million at one time, is like, hey, come put your money in hard money, because I'm not a fund. So I just sell individual notes, like I do, like you wholesale houses. I sell notes. Like I generate $120,000 note today. I sell it the next day for 10, 11%, whatever the deal is. But and I always have just sold people. I was like, this is really pretty liquid money, because my average time frame is 139 days. My average note, and probably with Luke, if he probably did a calculation on his time frame for his fix and flip, that's 6 months is probably the longest it's going to go. So really 6 months is an investment that is pretty liquid. It's not like you're putting it into some syndication fund that might be 5 years.
Correct.
Well, and JP,
100%.
can you also like, I know we're kind of running out of time, but can you break down like how simple you make the process for folks that are like buying an asset and maybe they are collecting rent? Maybe it's a commercial building or maybe it's a long-term rental. Like, can you just kind of explain how, as the custodian, the money
Yeah.
funnels in and out? Because we
Sure.
haven't really touched on that, but I think that's important because that's overwhelming to some people.
Yeah, I think, look, the setup, how it works, how to set up an account, you fill out some paperwork, in less than 10 minutes, you're going to have, we're going to open an account, right? It's fill out an application that's 3 pages long and sign our fee schedule. And, within, 48 hours, you're going to have an account number. You're going to have it all. Now we've got to fund it, right? So funding the account is really, well, how do you want to fund it? Oh, I'm transferring money from over here. Okay, we'll fill out another document. And then we're going to go and request it from Schwab, and maybe you have to wait 7 to 21 days because Schwab's in no hurry to send you your money out, to leave their company and come over to us. But once the money's in the account and you're like, I'd like to do a deal, right? I'd like to do a deal with Luke. What people have to understand about self-directed IRAs is that the custodian needs to get direction from their client, right? Like we're not, so there's forms that need to be completed where it's like, I'm doing a promissory note. Like these is the note amount, this is this. So it's, again, you fill out the form and then you've got to produce substantiating paperwork, just like a title company, like, hey, where's the promissory note? Right? Where's the deed of trust if it's secured? So we have different documents that need to be sent into us with those directions. And what we're looking for, really similar to a title company, is it titled properly? Like, is the buyer vantage for the benefit of JP Dahdah's IRA, right? Is the lender on the promissory note vantage for the benefit of JP Dahdah's IRA if it's my IRA doing the lending? So it depends on how the client chooses to structure a deal, right? Like I was mentioning to Luke before, if I'm structuring it through if I'm creating an LLC and I want my IRA to invest in the LLC and then the LLC is doing all these deals, then it's a lot simpler because I only got to create one bi-direction letter for the LLC. I'm sending my IRA money into my LLC business checking account. And then that investment holding company, I'm as manager doing all the lending with Chris, all the money's coming in and out into my business checking account. So we educate people on all their options, but we don't have any skin in the game as to how they choose to structure their money and what types of investments they're looking to purchase. So based on what they're looking to buy, we tell them, okay, fill out these documents. Now, once the asset is made, if they own something directly with their IRA, then any income is going to come back into that IRA, right? So the tenant needs to know where to send the check, right? And who to make the check payable to. And we give our clients those instructions. If there's an expense on a property that is 100% owned by an IRA, well, then 100% of that expense has to be paid. So they have to complete a document, a form, give us an instruction to pay that bill, and then we pay that bill. So that's the administration nuance. I think I would call it more than anything. It's a nuance if you're doing some stuff directly through the custodian. But if you don't want that nuance, we give you options as to how to structure that account so that you avoid having to do so much form filling and so much, waiting on transactions to be exercised.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Dena put in the chat box, it looks like you might have a new virtual session coming up. But we usually just jump on here for 30, 45 minutes, but we appreciate you having us jumping on with us today. Hopefully everybody got some value. Like I said, I do this personally. It's a way to take down your normal income, put it over here, and still do the same deals, and then that goes tax-free. And the biggest thing you want to take away, some guy solved the problem and now manages $30 billion. He solved the problem.
Thank you.
No joke, seriously.
Yeah, let's go solve problems today.
That's exactly. Thank you for saying that, Chris. I appreciate that because that was my vision, my friend. And hopefully it's going to be a lot bigger, a lot more people to serve, and a lot more assets to custody. People doing what they want to do with their own money, right? That's the good news. Is I don't sell anything. I don't sell advice, and I don't sell products. So I'm just giving you the tool to make it work for you guys.
Well,
I
thanks
love
for
it.
jumping on. We appreciate
Yeah.
it.
For
Thanks,
sure.
guys.
Appreciate you,
Thank you
JP. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.